Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
Da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na. Doesn't that song just get in your head? I have people actually sitting there saying, "Hey, dude, where did you get your intro? I want that music. That thing's so cool. Don't want to duplicate it." And then I tell them privately, I'm like, I did it on Animoto. Animoto was super easy. It was really chill. So anyways, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of most ages. Hello, hello, hello again. This is the Raw and Unscripted show with yours truly, Christopher Rausch, the place where I am the no excuses coach, the place where I help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. And whether you're joining us live or you're joining us here on the replay, thank you so much for being here. And as always, being Misfits for Life here as the part of the Kickass Nation. I love you guys. We have so much major exciting stuff coming up here with the show and everything that I'm associated with working on. So stand by, fasten your seatbelts. If you're not already in the newsletter, please go to ChristopherRausch.com. ChristopherRausch.com. I haven't really announced it yet, but the website is now launched. And I'm gaining people through the newsletter that are going to be receiving special offers to work with me, to attend different events that I'm going to be working with in conjunction with Princeton Clark and the Evolved Mastery Group, as well as what I'm doing with some other individuals as well, with Scott Goyette and Go Love Now and our group coaching program. So please always go to that newsletter. I want to make sure I get to you guys because you never know with social media and everything else that's going on where we might lose contact. But at least if you're on the email list, I can always make sure that we're together and that you guys are part of the Kickass family. So once again, I want to thank you all, each and every one of you who send me information or send me emails or notes after the shows and letting me know which guests you really dig or which content you really dig. Obviously, by the amount of the engagement that we get here, I can see that as well. But when you guys send me those private messages, it really means a lot to me. It lets me know that we're on the right track with the show, that I'm on the right track with the questions and the guests that I have, or whether it is I'm doing a solo show. I appreciate that feedback as well. Some of you guys have said recently, it's cool to see you do a solo show every once in a while and just for you to just riff on whatever's going on in your mind. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So much love. What's going on. And as I just briefly mentioned as well, our group coaching program starts June 7th. So if you're interested in getting in that, there's only about 4 or 5 seats left in there that I'm just waiting on confirmation from Scott. We're keeping the group small. We like it that way. We want an opportunity to engage with you. So if you're interested in starting that, it's a 12-week group coaching program on June 7th. So reach out to me, please. And then I will hook you up and take care of you, especially if you're part of Misfit Nation. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited. I have a great guest for us tonight, and we're going to just dive in and get raw and unscripted with the content that we're going to be sharing with you tonight. So if you find certain subjects a little bit scary and unknown, what I invite you to do is just to sit and listen. Perhaps if you're watching this live, you can sit there and you can ask us questions that we can engage with you and give you some answers on that. But yes, things we're going to talk about sometimes may be controversial, and that's what more of the direction I'm going to be taking here on the Raw and Unscripted show, and also the Unfiltered Experience, my other show with Scott, is just delving more deeply into some of the things that are going on in the world around us that sometimes we don't really want to talk about or know about. We want to let everybody else deal with. But one of my responsibilities as a broadcaster, as somebody who's here trying to change the world, it's important for us to understand what is really going on in our world, and having different perspectives about situations is healthy. We don't have to agree with everybody else that maybe we don't have the same experience with, but we can sit there and we can enlighten ourselves to understand really what's going on in our world around us from different people who are really the passionate people on the ground that are trying to find the answers to these situations. So we're going to be talking about some really cool subjects tonight, but most of all, we're going to talk about life. You guys know me, it's mindset, it's the outcome. It's what can you take from this show tonight and go apply in your life, that you start making, progress in anything that you're doing. I call it the 1% rule. If you take 1% and you apply that to your life every day and you do that compound interest, it's amazing what you can accomplish in 365 days. Now, I know 365 days may seem like a long time, but think about what the situation you're in right now and how long it took you to get there, right? It may have taken you 6, 7, 10, 15, all your life. How many years does it take? Invest 365 days of 1% growth every single day, and you watch, you'll be a different person in 365 days. And I am happy to have on the show tonight somebody who I met through the app Clubhouse. You guys have heard me talking about that. Listening to this lady's voice and the soul of what it is that she is here on earth to accomplish is absolutely inspiring. I am happy to welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show, Nina, London's life coach, or as I know her, Nina the Brit. What's going on, Nina? How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
So good to have you on the Raw and Unscripted show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, if you couldn't tell by the accent and the fact that I said Nina the Brit, Nina is coming to us from the UK.
Yeah, I'm actually calling from London, or I'm actually live from London right now. So
live? Can you say that? Can you say I'm Nina and I'm the Raw and Unscripted show live from London?
I'm Nina. I'm on the Raw and Unscripted show live from London.
Oh, dude, I'm going to replay that. That is so beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you for being here. I know in your area of the world, it's about 8 o'clock, a little bit after 8 p.m. And one thing I know about you, Nina, and I really applaud you, and I want to make sure I said this before we got off the interview, so I'm glad I'm remembering right now. I applaud you for how much effort and how much time you spend in social media, in your pursuits of trying to make the world a better place for who it is that and what you do. When I think about, what I was just talking about in the intro, and I think about life in general, I look at the last year, especially, or the last 18 months of my life, especially the last year and a half for my life has been massively different in a good way, in a challenging way as well. But as we know, at the time of this broadcast, we're coming to the end, or whatever we want to call COVID-19, the pandemic that's been, really taking charge of our world lately. What has been your experience with COVID itself, the COVID situation with your life, and how have you seen change within yourself during this period of time?
It hasn't actually affected me, if I'm being honest. And that's because I haven't changed my life deliberately. I still will go out, and I went out regardless because I've only just found freedom, and your listeners will understand more as we go along. But having just found freedom, I refuse to allow anybody to take away my basic human rights. It doesn't mean I was infecting anyone, if you want to use that word, because I didn't see anybody. But I did take drives to the beach when I wanted to. I took drives to the top of hills, and I wanted to be one with Mother Nature, because for me, Mother Nature has a lot of healing qualities, and it's where I actually recharge my battery, because I'm very much into grounding and just being around the natural elements that this amazing world offers to us. So it didn't affect me because I didn't allow it to affect me. And that's something that I have learned through my life experiences, that you are in control of how a situation, or even when things are forced upon you, it's down to you how you react. And I chose not to react.
What's the basis for that decision? Is that something based on that you've been in through previous areas of your life where you've reacted before, and you realize that the responsive action in those situations is a more deliberate action?
I removed one thing from my life a couple of years ago, which is a 4-letter word called fear. So now I understand that fear is a power that's taken away from you when you allow that fear to take over your mind, your body, your actions. So with the way life has presented certain testing situations to me, I understood that once I take away the word fear and replace it with love within, then I am unstoppable and no longer concerned. And I'm very much living in the present. I'm not anxious about what's happening or what's going to happen, because I'm making the most of right now. I'm not worried about what has happened because I'm not there anymore. So I removed that word, and it has served me very well.
Wow, that is so beautiful. There's like 4 things you said within that little sharing right there that I could totally jump off on and totally agree with. So let's see what comes to my mind. Okay, so you personally have not changed because you've seen this as a situation in life where you have chosen to be in those moments. You've chosen to not live in the past, not be in fear of the future, but just be present in those moments. Why is that such a challenge for most people when they think about most of their life? I find people are either living in regret of the past, and they're thinking about the past and other things that they shoulda, coulda, woulda done, or they're so fearful of the future. And most of what I see is that failure. I mean, you're a life coach as well. You've coached lots of other people, and you've been through so many different experiences. What is your top recommendation for people to be able to start really just enjoying the moments? Because that's something I have massively found out for myself. I was always not so much a Monday morning quarterback, but I've always been a plan A, B, and C guy. And I'm looking to the future, and I'm like thinking, okay, what am I going to do in this situation? What can I do here? How can I position myself here? I've always been a survivor until I started working with the great Sally Anderson. Then she started changing me in that situation of what I was looking at. And I started finding that the beauty is in those moments. If you start, and I really realized that people think I'm crazy now. I'm like, if you just enjoy if I just enjoy this moment with you, that we're having this great conversation, nothing else matters. I'm not in fear. I'm not in anything else like that. How can we position people to own more of that present state of gratitude?
Yeah, I am a life coach, and I'm very blessed. I know Sally; she's amazing. I love her so much. She's a beacon of light for sure. Um, I coach quite elite people, so my the people that come to me are ex-professional athletes or current athletes. I've had professional boxers. I've had people of very high statures. It doesn't make a difference who you are, but the reason I'm saying that is because they trust in me. And a lot of people are living in the past. And what I say to those people is, how heavy is that burden that you're carrying? And do you not want to let it go? There's ways of letting it go. The people that are anxious about what's going to happen, I say you're worrying about something that's not quite happened. You're almost willing it to happen. So be excited for the here and now. It's very easy for me to be excited because I'm almost living a life that you lived, or maybe, without being making assumptions that maybe you lived when you were in your 20s. I'm living that now. So for me, everything's exciting. I've almost lived a very trapped life, a very enclosed life. The cultural restraints were so much so, and my former partner was very narcissistic. So I didn't have that freedom, that simple word, which means so much. So I would say to anybody that's struggling with COVID or struggling with any situation, that you choose whether you're opening that door to the jail that you're enclosing yourself in, or the prison of your past, or even the prison of your future. You're choosing to stay there, and it takes just one step to step out of it so that you can actually live your life, because you're not living it. And when you do start to live it, you'll understand that nothing really matters apart from today, here and now.
Yes, that is so true. That's so brilliant, Nina, because when COVID first hit, that's how I started the Friday night show that we were talking about before off camera about with Scott and I just started on Friday nights because people were trapped inside. I'm like, let's do something that lifts their spirits up and gets them through these moments and things of that nature. So it really caused me just to enjoy the flavor of that, because so many people were sitting there saying, I want normalcy back. I want to go back to what's normal. I'm like, there is no normal. There's never been a normal. There's been a predictive pattern of behaviors and outcomes based on your belief systems and what you are putting into your brain and who you're surrounding yourself with. And so that was, for me, was like, wow, that's kind of a trippy thing that we can get caught up in, so much of shit that we can't control, and sitting there and pontificating about theory A, B, and C, when literally, when you open up to the vibration, like you're saying, of love. And this is something that I wasn't comfortable talking about, 3 or 4 years ago. It was like, love, whatever. I don't need love. Let's get the shit done. And here's how we're going to do it. A, B, C, and D. Here are the 5 different plans that you're going to have. Here's your success plan. You're fixed. There you go. Run along. And then when I started doing more discovery into the child psychology of how our belief systems are really created from 0 to 5, that scared the shit out of me, because I was thinking with my son, I'm like going, oh my God, this is really crazy, because I'm watching the light bulbs come on. I'm seeing the fear come in. Before, he didn't have fear of anything, but now I see him like scared of heights, and he's like, what? And I'm like, what turned that switch on? So that's what I think. I think that a lot of what really screws us up is the situations that have happened from our childhood. What are your thoughts on that? And what can we do to help people like identify that within themselves? Because I see so many people, it's like, it's not my childhood. It was what happened when I was 30.
Well, it does make a difference. If your son is watching what daddy does, and he'll want to do what daddy does. If you stand with your hand on your head long enough, he'll copy the same action. We are led by people that are around us. We're led by society. We're led by social media, because sometimes we don't actually know who we are within. And I think finding yourself is a huge thing. A lot of people get through stuff, they muddle through, but they never really resolve their issues. And I think it's quite a common thing to just muddle and push it aside. But it's almost like a coat hanger that's been bent, and then you can never straighten it completely again, because it's not really ever going to be the same. One of the things I've recently learned about myself is that I shrink things. I make them smaller than they are. The fact of what I've been through and survived, now I'm accepting they are huge things. I've survived so many massive, not even small things, they're huge, as in massive. But it doesn't mean I'm going back there. All it means is I'm saying to myself, some really horrible things have happened to me, and I accept they've happened, and I'm going to literally let them go. And I allow myself to be happy for now. Because you can either sit there and say, oh my God, the worst things happened to me. My father did this, he tried to kill me, my brother did this. And you almost create this void that you're just almost falling down. And then you try and cover it up and step over it, and then it comes back and it comes back. So what I'm trying to say to anybody out there, if you have had trauma, my heart does go out to you, because I don't want anyone to feel that, anyone to feel bad or sad. It's not who I am. But what I would like you to do is to ask yourself, as I said earlier, do you really want to carry those anchors around with you for the rest of your lives? Imagine holding 2 huge shopping bags, which we've all done, trying to think we can get them all from the car to the house in one go. And as soon as you put them down, you feel that sense of relief and, oh, thank God I've got them in. It's almost the same sort of thing as carrying a huge baggage of all the bad things, all the hurt, all the pain, all the trauma in one hand, and forgetting that in this hand we've got all of the strengths, we've got all of your victories, we've got all of your love and your treasures. And the treasures are worth holding on to more than the bad things. So you really need to just let them go. And it's not easy. It's not easy. And I'm not going to make out like it is easy, but with people like myself or Christopher, or find somebody, even a friend, just somebody that will listen, because a lot of the problems are people don't listen. They listen to tell you about themselves. And you need to find someone that actually just won't say a thing, that will just say, okay, I don't know how you feel, but I'm here for you. Maybe you could be that person for somebody. Maybe you could be that person to somebody that's going through something, and just allow them to let them be, and celebrate when they're celebrating. This is another thing. People come and it's my day, I've done my TED talk, but they're telling me about their thing and not saying, you know what, Nina, this is a great day for you. And that's something that I'm not happy with. And I'm going to be really upfront, because I'm direct. I've got nothing to hide. My opinions matter. My feelings matter, just as they do for your listeners. Be considerate. Think about the other person and just give them that space too. But I would love for you all to be free, to be able to live your life the way I know I'm living it and Chris is living it.
I love your answers. I love your shares. If you would indulge us here, Nina, I want to go back to, because I had somebody on the show. I don't know if you know, she just draws the mosaic. Yes,
I know Daniel. Daniel
Levin.
Daniel Levin, yeah, he's lovely.
He was on our Unfiltered show probably a couple months ago, and at one point he said something, and it kind of annoyed Scott, and it annoyed me, and I know it annoyed our viewers, because they were kind of questioning it. And he made something sound very easy. And I know you just kind of said, just let it go, but you also followed it up with, hey, there's some stuff in this. Would you mind sharing maybe an experience of your past with us that exemplifies that process, and what you're really talking about with that empathy and forgiveness component is something that I've learned as well. What is something you've been through where you could talk about that forgiveness and the empathy component and tie it into what it is that you're saying is, something we can let go?
Sure. So my heritage, my ethnicity is Indian, from North India. My parents are actually Sikhs, and I'm born and raised in the United Kingdom, if my accent hasn't given it away. But with that comes a lot of cultural restraints. I'm an activist now against honor killings, and that is because I survived an honor killing. Now, it's literally for you to question what is an honor killing, literally for you to understand what is an honor killing, literally for you to spread awareness and say to your neighbor, I heard this with Chris yesterday. Did you know what an honor killing is? That's my objective here.
Let us know what it is, because I honestly don't.
Okay, so an honor killing is when in a culture, not just an Indian culture, North Africa. Africa is where the most honor killings happen. Asia and the Middle East. But let's remember one thing. Not everyone that's Indian is living in India. Not everyone that's Korean is living in Korea. Not everyone that's from Saudi Arabia is living in Saudi Arabia. So in your town, or in your place, there will be somebody from one of these cultures, whether it's African, Middle East, or Asian. When they have moved, they have taken their cultural restraints and beliefs with them, just as you will. and just as you will pass them on to your children. So at the age of, in my culture, girls are just not wanted. And I think Chris has heard me say this before, that when a girl is born in India, often they leave them underneath a lorry in the hope that the lorry driver won't look underneath. He will get in and drive straight over that baby. That sounds harsh and horrific, because it is.
Ooh.
It's horrific. If the child or baby isn't left under the lorry, it's left on the side of the road, because nobody wants a baby girl. That baby girl, her future is then left to the hands of whoever finds her, whether she goes into sex trafficking, child trafficking, sold for body parts, or whether she's sent to a different place for basically being a servant. So that's the kind of imagery I'm trying to create for you. And this is common in the United Kingdom, common in America, and I can give you cases, common in Australia, common in every country in the world. I was treated really badly because I was born a girl, so I became a servant, which is the normal thing for a girl to be a servant. And I was a servant at the age of 6. I was then forced into a marriage. Things happened in between. I was forced into an arranged marriage, which is common. At the age of 14, I was told I would get married. At the age 14? Of 14, I was told that the marriage had been arranged. It wasn't a marriage, it was a trade. And a lot of things have happened, but I did leave that arranged marriage. And this is where we get into the honor killings part. I brought shame and dishonor upon my family for leaving an arranged marriage, because in the society that I'm from, respect is earned by abiding to the cultural rules and regulations and the restraints. If my parents didn't do something, they would be seen as not respected in the community. Whereas if they drew blood, which is necessary to draw blood, is to retain your respect. And this is a centuries-old pandemic. It's more deadly than the coronavirus. And I'm going to say that again, it's more deadly than the coronavirus, because this has been going on for centuries and nothing can cure it unless we speak out. I speak out, which is why I decided to. Now, Chris was asking me, what from my past have I let go of? I let go of the fact that my father and my brother savagely beat me, where they broke my arm and my jaw, that they stamped upon me with such vengeance, whilst my mother watched with such anger in her eyes, until I passed out, in the hope that they had killed me, because they had left me there for dead. When they realized I wasn't dead, they agreed to send me to India to take me and to finish the killing there. But I am here because I, on my all fours, crawled out of the home to hide around the corner in a park. Do I feel angry? Is one of the first things people ask me, and no, I don't. Am I angry with my parents? No. I'm not angry, because they didn't know any better. For them, it's the normal thing that we're talking about, going back to life normally. This is their normal life. This is how they live on a day-to-day basis. It's not okay. I'm not condoning their behavior, but I'm saying for them, it's normal. Do I hold those feelings of being broken and left for dead with blood and cuts all over my body? No, because that's such a valuable lesson to me, with which I am now able to stand and convey a message to the world that a lot of the girls, and I'm talking millions of girls, are unable to speak out for themselves. In my TED talk, I say that as women, we live in fear. And that's true. I would wake up in fear. I would sleep in fear. Again, the cycle would happen. I would wake up in fear. I would sleep in fear. That cycle's broken for me, but there's so many people still imprisoned. I'm not concerned, and this sounds harsh again, but I'm very me. I'm not concerned about the ones that have died. including my half sister that my father abducted as a 6-year-old and took her to India to kill her years after I had been beaten. I'm not worried about that because they are at peace. They are our angels. They are in a better place. The ones I'm worried about are the ones that are imprisoned, the ones that cannot even have food the way I never used to be able to, the ones that cannot look out the window and say, well, I fancy a walk. I'm going to go, even at the age of 21, as I was. They're the ones that I'm working for. They're the ones whose voice I'm taking and I'm bringing forward. And I'm saying to the world, this is what we need to do something about. So I don't hold anything against anybody or any pain or trauma. It doesn't serve me. How can I help others with that pain and trauma? I've accepted that it happened to me. I've forgiven. I haven't forgotten, because how do you forget these things? But I have let go. And that's why I'm calm. That's why I have found this love for myself, because that, what's the right word? That storm that was in my mind and my whole soul has calmed. It's now just a beautiful day every day, because I have that opportunity of freedom, but a lot of people don't.
Wow, you just blew my mind. You just blew my mind. So thank you. Here on the Raw&Unscripted show, ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Rausch's mind is blown. Excuse me. I've heard a lot of things about different cultures and societies over the years, and I'm learning a lot more definitely now that I'm delving more into this stuff. So thank you, first of all, for sharing that. I mean, excuse me, very, very sensitive information you're sharing there with us. The first question that calls to me, there's a couple of questions that call to me. You've forgiven them, and that's something that I keyed in for myself, honestly, Nina, in all my life, thinking about my mom and thinking about that situation with her. Excuse me, I still have that tickle. Still thinking about that situation with her, finding empathy and understanding, like, okay, let me go back and travel in her shoes, right? It's all about me. It's all about what you didn't do for me and all these different things that you put me through. To your point, when I went back, and my mom used to always tell me, I'm 4 years old. She was 41 the last time she had told me that I really just like let into her. I'm like, Mom, you're a fucking adult. Why do you keep saying you're 4 years old? That's bullshit. Get with it. Stop using it as a fucking excuse. You know, I'm 4 years old. And then when I started really going through a change in my own life and really trying to understand who Christopher was and is, and how I could let go of that anger and the resentment, I'm like, 4 years old, 4 years old. I'm like, and doing the child psychology thing, like we were talking about before. What happened at 4 years old? Oh, that's right. Her mom and dad got divorced. Oh, that's right. Then she had to spend full time with her psychotic grandmother, her mother, or my psychotic grandmother, her mother. Most of the time, she got to see her dad on special events. She got to see him on Easter and Father's Day and all the other good events. But otherwise, she spent most of her time with this woman who I did not care very much for. So then I started thinking, I'm like, to your point, okay, that becomes a very debatable situation. Did she do the best she could with what she had? Yes and no. I mean, there's different opportunities but to your ultimate point, I love that you're looking at life as happening for you and not to you. And that fact that what we talked about before, we have the opportunity to respond to situations and look at that with a different lens. We can only look through that lens of love or fear, right? And so you're choosing to let go and live in those moments, which I think is beautiful, because it's the same journey that I've been on. So if I can sit there and vouch for it, and you can vouch for it, given what you've been through, it's amazing. Talk to us about, if you don't mind, what is your relationship now with your family and the culture, or are you still, away from them? How has that impacted your life now?
So I'm disowned by my family, understandably. Speaking out, I've had death threats from the community, from my family, because this is a taboo to speak out. We don't speak out, and normally victims of honor killings don't survive. They don't make it. And because of that, it's horrific for them to listen to me so unapologetically saying what I'm saying. But I don't have this desire to talk about things because I want everyone to know who I am. I don't care about that. And I say that quite bluntly. What I do care about is the people that I need and want to help. You see, those people, and this is for anybody listening also, have been told they're not good enough. This is one of the biggest things that brings a person down. Because they're born a girl, they're not good enough. But you might be out there, a man, or even a young man or a boy, that's been told the same thing. And I just want to say that no one gets to decide whether you are good enough. No one gets to say that apart from you. It took me a long time. So if I can give you that knowledge now and save you that torture where you're trying to work things out in your own head, then let me do that for you. Let me help you to understand that you have that power unless you give it to somebody to decide for you. You can't go back. Chris can't go back and ask his mother questions because Chris is no longer that child. Nina is no longer that young girl. Nina is no longer that woman. We can't make a difference. And if I could go back, I wouldn't change it because I wouldn't have the knowledge I have now. So what can you really do with the information that you've got? What really can you do with the trauma that you're living through, that someone has told you that you are not good enough? I'll tell you what you can do with that. You can make a change. You can say to yourself and look at yourself in the mirror and say, I bloody well love you because you are amazing. Because why shouldn't you think that? Often we think it's to do with ego, but it's nothing to do with ego. Ego is trying to fit a frame that somebody else is creating that you think you also need to fit into. But own your own self, own your own, celebrate yourself, own your own being here. You know, I have no concern about my outer image at all. What I love about me is from within. When I have a feeling, that feeling isn't physical. It's not my hand that's making that feeling. When I get that gut feeling that something's wrong, it's not my hair that's making the feeling. It's me from within. Once you understand that love, that mindset, that spirit is your energy, you will also shift your mindset, and you will understand that nobody, not one person, can say something to you that will affect you anymore. We're all human. There will be things, if I turned around and I was mean to Chris now, of course it will affect him. Not that I would. But what my point is that, yes, that much of somebody else's reaction to you should affect you, and the 99.9% of it should come from within, about how you feel about you. So letting go, you can do it. You are good enough, and you mustn't let anybody else tell you any different.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Self-love is the first love, baby. Yes, yes, yes. So I imagine through, and you just shared one situation from your past. Talk to us about through this journey from where you've been in that situation before to where you're at now, and achieving the opportunity to give a TED Talk. What was perhaps one of the biggest lessons that you had to learn, aside from the self-love component, about achieving your goals and about knowing what your goals are, and perhaps even just knowing who Nina is?
Yeah. You see, I never knew who I was. I didn't. You know, I always thought I was somebody's daughter or someone's mother and someone's sister and someone's friend. I didn't actually know who I was. I'm exceptional at business. I can tell you that much. So that I thought that was my role. I'm a great mum, and no one can take that from me. I thought that was my role. But I never actually knew my purpose, my mission, me. I didn't know who I was. I've always been able to speak to people. People have always been very forward, coming to my space and saying, oh, you make a lot of sense and you know what to say. But that's just part of the personality, I thought, not realizing really what was happening. I believe I went through childhood rape so that I could help another person, not because I understand, because we never know what someone else has been through, and we all see something very differently. We all have our own perspective, but maybe I can give them a little bit of an indication of how they may be feeling and what can happen out of it. The business side of me, I can help people. I've been helping people mentor businesses and start businesses for a long time. What I'm trying to say is that all these traumatic things that have happened, you know, I have been through a lot. I've survived death too many times for me to question. I question it, Chris. I question it. I have lay on the carpet many a times thinking this is it, or being strangled by my former partner thinking this is it, or waking up to my pillow being set on fire, thinking, now this is it. You know, losing my breath when I'm having my head pushed underwater, thinking, this is it. It's not been it. I'm still here, and I still have love to give. So I'm not exceptional. I'm nobody different to anybody out there. It's just I discovered me quicker than maybe somebody else has. I can tell you Nina is now. Nina is this person that's full of love, that wants everyone to be spared of any trauma, wants to guide everyone to say, I can get you there quicker because you don't have to struggle the way I struggled. For everyone to understand that we were put on this earth to love one another. We're not objects to use one another or to treat each other badly. That's not why we were put on this earth. To say to people, look, I've worked life out. It's the game of life and how you live it. To say that the rules of having a great life were forced upon me without me knowing. I didn't lie. I didn't cheat. I didn't steal. I didn't do anything wrong. There is such a thing that is a good thing, a good person. There is. And I think that's what whoever's in charge of this game wants. And when we don't do it, we are then pushed. You've heard of the phrase that the universe directs you. If it's not meant for you, you'll be redirected. It's part of learning who you are. Some people might say, well, what's the point? If this is a game, what is the point? None of it's real. Well, you're here anyway, so make the most of it. I had a conversation with Daniel, as you mentioned, and I said to Daniel, are you God? And some of your listeners might not like this. It doesn't mean I'm being disrespectful, but I believe I am God. I believe Christopher is God, because God was within me. He's within you. He's within Daniel. He's within all of us. The chair I sit on has been created by God, so it is God. He is everywhere. If you believe in that faith, then you don't have to go to a church or a temple to acknowledge that he lives here. And if you live in the way he's asked you to live, then maybe they are the cheat codes for a great life and to discover yourself quickly.
Ooh, I love that, Nina. Cheat codes for life. Yeah, I mean, it really is. I tell people all the time, and I've been bitch slapped a few times when I say life is simple, quit complicating it. It really is. If you start with, when I talk to people throughout COVID, I've given a couple of 100 free coaching sessions away, just my way of giving back and helping people strategize what they could do in the situation to make it better. When I think about the opportunity of what people do to take care of themselves, and I'll sit there and ask them, like, okay, I want you to answer this question without hesitation. I want you to give me your gut answer. Do you love yourself? Yes or no? And I just took a chance on this, Nina. After talking to probably about 25 people, I was like, it seems like these people don't love themselves. That's because I always look for the root. Where's the root of the situation? Where's that root? How can we extricate it and put something and plant a new belief right there? And that was really surprising to me, is finding out that. But another thing that was surprising me through this process as well, and you mentioned this at the beginning about you coaching elite people. For everybody watching and listening to this, I really want to ask this question because I know the answer to this, but I want them to hear it from you. You're coaching elite people, famous, all these different people who, quote unquote, have it, right? How are their problems different from the rest of our problems?
They're not. They're not. We're all human beings. There is no elite. There is no elite. It's people have tried to, I'm going to use the word use me to get to some of these people. The only reason I attract these people is because I am unapologetically me.
Yeah.
I know exactly who I am. When you know who you are and you have nothing to prove, you don't have to wear designer clothes, you don't have to have your hair fake. You just celebrate you as a person and you love yourself and whatever is given to you. You attract these things, you attract these people. I'll tell you, the elite are the most suspicious people in the world because they've had too many people try to get close to them and then hurt them and then use them and move on. You can have 7,000 followers on Instagram. I do not care. You can have 2 million followers on Instagram. I don't care. 100,000 followers on Instagram. I don't care. Because followers are just another word for, well, it's irrelevant. None of it matters. I know people that will speak to certain people because, oh my gosh, he's got this many people. I'm going to follow him and I'm going to connect with him. Why? If that person isn't of any value or adding value to your life, why do you need that person in your life? Why do you need those followers to validate who you are? I haven't got that many followers and I don't care. I don't care because the message I'm trying to get across doesn't require followers. It requires an audience that is prepared to listen and help me get that message across. People that care about somebody else, people that care about themselves. Because until you decide that who you are and that you care about you and that you love you can't do anything for anybody. You can't be an ambassador or a president or anything until you know who you are here. You cannot. And you cannot say you understand how a parent feels if you don't have children. How can you? It's that easy of a concept. You can't be a life coach unless you've sorted yourself out or you know who you are. And I've seen that lots of times too. Everyone's a life coach.
Oh, Jesus.
We're all leaders.
21-year-old life coach. I'm like, what are you going to teach me about?
Who are you leading? Who are you leading?
Yeah.
You know, you're a leader, Christopher. I'm a leader. Your 4-year-old is a leader. My 28-year-old daughter, she's going to be 28, is a leader. We all lead one another. It's just another word for, being present. And people are watching you because we're all watching each other. But why? Why don't you stop watching everyone else and just focus on you? And when your child speaks to you, put your bloody phone away and actually give that boy or girl the time and effort they're asking for. That's all children want. They want you to pay attention. I went to Ireland recently to do my TED talk, and I was very fortunate to be invited back to somebody's house to meet his grandchildren. And his grandchild asked for me the next day. Why? Because I gave him time, undivided attention. I didn't care about the conversation in the room. I wanted to hear about what he was talking about.
Right.
Because it was important. It was important to him, so it was important to me. I'm trying to say to people, be in the present. You're missing out living today, and you're hurting people around you because you're too worried about what they have and haven't done. Christopher isn't the same. If I was going to date Christopher now, Christopher is not the same person he was when he was a child. He's not the same person in his teens. He's not the same person when he was in his 20s or 30s. So I can't judge my decision today on what he did yesterday. I'm not the same person. You're not the same person. So when you meet somebody, meet them for here and now and give them a chance unless they prove differently.
Ooh, there is gold right there. Give them a chance unless they approved differently. Yeah, it used to be innocent until proven guilty, but now we know about the judicial system's flaws lightly. Yeah, you just don't know about that. I just interviewed Jimmy Dennis, who was wrongly convicted of murder on death row for 25 years. And yeah, I was like, how did you get wrongly convicted? You're like, yeah, it's just a joke. Don't get me started on that. The brilliance and magnificence that you are sharing today, Nina, I can't thank you enough. I'm super honored to have you here. I would love to have you back on the Raw and Unscripted show, and also as well on the Unfiltered Experience to bring more awareness about these conversations that we need to be doing. My question to you is, obviously we can, and I think this is an overall conversation for what anybody in particular is going through that wants to fight for something. How can we really, each of us as individuals, we're not going to go out there maybe necessarily and go write our what can we do in maybe like a two-phase plan of what can we do as individuals to bring awareness to these issues that are pissing us off about the world and make real change. Like it takes 1,000. I think of, in the words that come into my mind, sometimes I'm hearing here in the United States, potentially a civil war, a revolution, something that it's going to take something that catastrophic. I use the word catastrophic because I don't want to see people hurt, to shift what is going wrong or indifferent in the world. What are your thoughts about creating that change for ourselves?
Yeah. You see, it's easier to bury your head in the sand. It's easier to say, I don't really want to know because it interferes with my mindset and I don't want to get involved.
I've been guilty.
And if you do that, you're literally you're part of the problem, and you might as well go and hit a child. You might as well go and rape a woman. And that sounds probably horrible and shocking to you, Chris, but you're not doing anything to prevent it.
Right.
For the people out there that see something, and this is in my TED talk again, I'm asking for teachers. When I went back to school after being raped by my father and his friends, I was 14. I was distraught. I was withdrawn. I was waiting for someone to ask me, hey, Nina, are you okay? Not one person asked, but they knew, they saw, because you're adults. If you're a teacher or somebody in the authorities and you see something and do nothing about it, then you may as well have raped that child. You may as well have hit that child, beat that child, broken that child's arm and jaw, because you're not doing anything about it. And you don't have to be directly involved. You can make a discreet call to the authorities or tell somebody that will. There are plenty of helplines out there for you to be anonymous. So why are you not doing anything? Every time you walk past a homeless person, and you will understand me saying this, Chris, because both of us have been there. Every time you walk past a homeless person and you lower your eyes and ignore them like they're not a real person, you are part of the problem. They don't want your food. They just want to be seen. If I went past you and I didn't smile at you, which I would do anyway, and if you don't want to smile, I would smile at you more.
I do the same thing.
If you are ignored, you wouldn't like it, but you do it to everyone else. What I'm trying to say is, you don't know someone's story. You won't look at Chris and think, well, Chris was homeless. You won't look at me and think the same. You don't know what someone's been through. And if they're using certain things to numb their pain, then you can't judge. Just like I can't judge on you, because you don't know their trauma. You don't know what it is that they've been through. And half the time, homeless people don't shout abuse at you. They don't say anything.
Nope.
So why do you walk past them? That means that you are part of the problem, not the solution. And what I'm trying to say with this wrapping it up is to say that if something's wrong out there, don't say that you're not racist if you're watching someone being racist to someone else and doing nothing about it. You don't have to get involved, but go get someone else. Don't say that you're not sexist if you see a man beating a woman or a woman beating a man and you're doing nothing about it. Don't have to get involved, but get someone that can. If you see a child being spoken to disrespectfully, and I'm sure you've seen this plenty of times in a supermarket, by the mother with a slap even, or a father, if you don't do something about it, then you may as well have slapped that child. And this is how I feel right now, that I'm tired of people making excuses. And you're the no excuses coach.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm tired of it. And I didn't ask for this life, I'll be honest. I didn't ever think in my whole lifetime I would say I'm an activist, that my door would be nearly broken down a couple of weeks ago and I would have death threats coming left, right, centre. But people have said to me, why don't you stop? Even people that Chris, have said to me, why don't you stop? If I stop, then who will stand up for this? And I'm tired of being bullied. I'm tired of that fear. I let go of that fear. So the only thing I have to fear is fear itself, which is a saying in itself. So I'm asking everyone out there to do the right thing, show more compassion to humanity, give love, treat everyone like you do actually want to be treated, not how you think you're treating everyone else. We're all guilty of it. I don't do that. I will go out of my way. But what I will do is I will stop speaking to somebody if I know they're not good for my mindset, which is fine, and that's okay. If I know somebody's not supporting me, I will let go, because I have to primarily think about me. That's not being selfish. That is because you're coming from love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. So beautiful. I'm looking at the time and I'm like, I could ask you so many more questions. I love the conversation that we're having here. And I know the viewers are going to be definitely engaging with the content we're talking about today. Thinking about this being live versus replay.
I'll do you a deal. I will do live with you next time.
You will? Okay. Thank you. Yes. So much what you said there is so impactful. The self-love aspect. I mean, that's an important component of it. Releasing the anger and everything else. And I also think about, the fear component, right? What are we really afraid of? What are we afraid of? Dying? We're going to die. We're afraid of, for me, my biggest fear is regrets, right? I always quote the book, The 5 Regrets of the Dying, because I think about that, because I think about earnestly, that should be our biggest fear, is getting to whatever the next journey is in our life and finding out that Christopher Rausch was supposed to have changed the world, that Christopher Rausch was supposed to be this amazing dad, that Christopher Rausch was supposed to be this, but Christopher Rausch never leveled up to do any of that. And to be able to be introduced like, hey, Chris, this is what you could have been. For me, that's the hugest amount of leverage that I could possibly be. And now for me, and we didn't really get into this, is the legacy aspect of it. For me, I know that whenever I go, that usually, most likely, the situation is going to be that Christopher Rausch was fighting for what was right and what was fair. He was risking for which that mattered, or he was leaving the earth a better place for who he was and what he did. Whether it's playing with my kid, whether it's engaging with my neighbor, whether it's doing community work, whether it's help heal humanity, which now I'm on the board of directors on. So we're doing massive stuff with that. Whatever it is, or just talking to my wife, or whatever it is, I always want to know that in those moments, that whatever happens, that my life meant the most to me, and then I was achieving that legacy to be able to go out there and make the world a better place and be a beacon of light for my son and for all the kids and the generations that are coming. Nina, I can't thank you enough for being here. Where can people get a hold of you and continue the conversation with you?
So I would like to ask for support for my cause, which is to end honor killings. I have a website called End Honor Killings, and we spell it with a U in the United Kingdom. So it's HONOUR, honorkillings.org.
I'm going to type that in. So www.HONOURS. So it's just with a U. Killings.org. Okay. I would like for everyone to look me up and find my TED Talk, which should be released anytime. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Chris. I'd like you to find me on Instagram. I am under London's Life Coach and also Nina_the Brit. I'd like you to please, if you see anything happening out there that you know is wrong, to do something about it and not ignore it. If I can get my petition signed as well, which is on my Nina_the Brit Instagram, I'm trying to get to the United Nations to go and stir some things up so that they can maybe take a harsher stance and get rid of this pandemic, as I call it, that's been around for far too long, of killing another person for the sake of honor. There's no honor in killing. Nina, thank you so much. I know your schedule is crazy. That's why I want to respect your time and keep it under an hour. I know that you're jumping from Zoom to Zoom to Zoom. Thank you so much. You're an amazing individual. I want to have more conversations with you offline and see what I can do to support and just to learn more as well. So thank you so much for your time tonight. I'm going to go and put you backstage and close out the show, and then we'll talk a little bit before that. But ladies and gentlemen, connect with her. I'll be talking to you soon in just a second. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, the Raw and Unscripted show. Holy moly. Did your mind get blown? Did your eyes get opened? Did your heart get awakened? What I want you to do from this, now, normally I say 1 or 2 things. I want you to take 3 things away from this conversation. I want you to take pen and paper. You better have it. If not, if you don't have it, take this newfangled contraption called pen and paper and write 3 things down, 3 actionable items that you guys are going to take from this conversation, because it's powerful. It's powerful. And Nina's right. And you guys have heard me say it. I haven't said it a lot lately, but I was saying it for a while. I tend to go on little spiffs or whatever. But if you're not part of the problem, or if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. So if there is something that you identify with, that you disagree with overall, right? If you don't like the way the school system is, then get your ass up and go to a city council meeting or go to whatever they are. Actually, I'm learning about that. I have a city council meeting and I'm going to go to it. And I don't fucking go to that bullshit. We all say it. Yet we bitch about the things that we're not changing. We're bitching about the stuff like, oh, it's 7 o'clock. That's dinner time. And then I got to do no, it's a meeting. It's go engage in the things that piss you off. Release the things that piss you off. Find out the root cause of why they piss you off. Go get a coach. Go get a therapist. Be the change that you want to see. We can't have any more of this. Well, they should be doing this and they should be doing that and standing around the water cooler and everything. The next time somebody comes up to you and says, oh, we should be doing this, say, what are you doing about it? What can we do about it? Maybe partner with them. Maybe say, you know what? You and I talk a lot of bullshit. Whether Madge, Henry, George, whoever your buddy is that you talk about shit with, hey, why don't we do something about it? Why don't we stand up? There's to what Nina said is very, very important. And she said a couple of things that I will sit here and admit publicly to you guys, because you guys know I'm very raw and vulnerable. I'm one of those guys that sticks his head in the sand quite often. And the reason why I do that is because I like my life. I love my life. I love my moments. We were talking about that a lot during this conversation about the moments. So I'm like, do I want to take these moments and go deal with stuff that upsets me and hurts me and makes me crazy and makes me angry? You know, that's a choice we have to make, and that's a choice that I'm making as well by having these conversations, bringing people like Nina on the show, having more conversations like this that we're going to be having on the Unfiltered Experience, which, you know, where we have a majority of our more world societal type topics there. This is more inspiration and stuff like that. So we'll be definitely having Nina on the show there. But what is it that we can do in our lives? How can we all accept responsibility from this day forward, having discipline and love for ourselves and being the beacon of change that we want to see? I challenge you guys. Again, you've heard me say this a lot lately. If you're upset, hurt people hurt people. If you find that your relationships suck, take a look within. Don't say, well, that person's doing that to make me mad. Nobody can make you anything. Man's Search for Meaning. I'm not even going to, right there, that book, Man's Search for Meaning, over my right shoulder, might be your left, I'm not sure, over there. Man's Search for Meaning. Nobody can make you feel anything. Nobody can do that to you. You have to sit there and look at this through a lens of love. You have to sit there and look through the opportunity in your life to make an impact. It's not just about what you want in the short-term gratification of things. It's in the long-term result of why we're all here as a collective human species trying to change the world. And there are people out there trying to change it for the worse. And to Nina's point, am I standing up and using my voice and my platform at the very least to bring about these conversations that I really don't want to have? I really don't want to talk about QAnon shit. I don't really want to talk about, you know, all this different stuff, because what is it going to do? It's going to piss me off. But then I have an opportunity. Then it pisses me off. Okay, then Chris, you can take the next level of action for whatever it is that you feel you want to support with. And that's sometimes what we do. We run and hide. Be like, I don't want to deal with that. I stopped watching the news and following the politics. That's why I call it the politics. Stopped following politics, because it's not really not politics. It's bullshit. Probably about 10 or 11 years ago. And I was just like, I'm not going to do this to myself, because all I found myself was like screaming at the television, going to work. Do you guys see what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And then like, what are you going to have for lunch, Dave? All right. Okay. You know, that kind of bullshit. This is a time for us to all stand up and own our opportunity here within this world to make a change for our kids, make a change for our youth, make a change within ourselves, that when our time is up here in this human world, that we go out fighting and swinging, enjoying every single fucking moment that we have, because that's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. You think about fear of judgment is crap. Who fucking cares about what you're doing? They're not thinking about you. You think you're thinking about you, but they're thinking about themselves, and they're probably thinking about you thinking about them. So where's the idiocracy in that? Come on. Time to stand up, guys. Raw and Unscripted. I love you. We will see you here next Tuesday, as always, live 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you're in the Raw and Unscripted group in Facebook. I think we have the ticker thing somewhere around there. You guys know where it's at. The Raw and Unscripted group on Facebook. I love you guys. Peace out. Have a wonderful evening, and we will talk to you next time here